Good afternoon. I'm Stacy, owner of Montana Used Bricks, and today I'm doing another food for thought video, which means I went out on Facebook and perused the Bricklink Worldwide Sellers and Buyers group. There were several that I thought were interesting enough to share with you, and I would love to get your guys' opinions on what your answers would be to these, or your advice would be. So the first one is, had a buyer email me via my ordersatstore.com to ask if I took credit card payments over the phone. Seemed like an odd ask. I pointed out I only accept payment through Bricklink, but wondering if anyone else has had such a request. Side note, the declared name on the email, i.e. what shows up on Fromline, was, let's say, Bob Smith, but the email address was, let's say, peggymarshall@gmail.com, which is, well, odd. Completely different. For this one, the reason I decided to talk about this one is because to me this sounds like a scam, and when I looked at the comments, a lot of people were saying, yeah, if they're asking to do that over the phone, most likely it's a stolen card and they don't really want to have it tracked through like PayPal or something like that. For me, that would definitely be a red flag. Besides that, I don't take any payment that isn't through PayPal unless it's a local sale where I can get the cash in hand. Everything else, I use PayPal. I'm curious if anybody else has ever had this request, or if you have ever done this for somebody, and if so, why or why not? If you would like to leave a comment and let others know how you handle this situation, I would also be interested. This one is another one that's a little bit questionable, and she's asking for advice on how to proceed. Customer shipping address and PayPal address are the same, and that is the address I used to send the package. Today, almost 2 weeks later, the package was returned to me. Someone wrote on the package to forward it to the customer's billing address, which is across the country and totally different from his shipping and PayPal address that I actually use. The post office instead returned it to me with a sticker on the package that they were unable to forward. Refund the order minus the shipping costs? Yeah, definitely. I would contact them and say, look, I can't forward this on. If you want me to, I can resend it, but you're going to have to pay me those shipping charges again. Otherwise, yeah, I would refund it minus probably not only the shipping charges, but also the PayPal fees, since we don't get refunded on those from PayPal. If you don't have it in your terms and conditions, you definitely should add it to say that you're only shipping to the Bricklink and PayPal address. I do use Pirate Ship, and this got me to thinking I really need to start paying attention to what's on PayPal and what's on Bricklink to make sure that those two match now that I use Pirate Ship and not ShipStation through PayPal. Something that I'm gonna start looking at just to make sure that those two do match. I have it in my terms and conditions. I will only ship to the Bricklink address because I am using Pirate Ship. So that's where I'm gonna be mailing it, and it does say that in my terms and conditions. But really, I should be checking to make sure that the PayPal address matches as well, just because that's where I get the payment from. So again, I'd be curious if anybody else has ever had this issue. It sounds like it's a pretty rare thing. I've been doing this for 5 years. I've never had that issue, but maybe it's more common for stores that have more orders. So put something in the comments if this is something you've dealt with in the past. And this one I really took notice of just because lately my sales have been down for the month of March, and I have actually started thinking maybe I should be running a sale or something just to get people to come into my store and maybe get rid of some of the items I have a whole lot of. But here is the post. I recently ran a sale, as one does, and it worked to some degree. However, I'm interested in hearing from you. What type of offers have you heard of or would like to see? And before someone says it, a giveaway is not an offer. There was quite a few comments to this. There was a couple that I really liked. There was one that said that they do a sale every month based on color. They pick a color and put that color on sale at 10% off. There was one that said they give a coupon to people who leave a positive feedback. I can see the reasoning behind this, and I do kind of like the idea because it would probably reinforce people to maybe leave feedback when they wouldn't normally do it. But at the same time, when you're saying when it's positive feedback, I feel like you're almost bribing the person to leave a positive feedback. I kind of have mixed feelings about that one because yeah, you do want to get people to leave you feedback because that's what a lot of people look at. But at the same time, you don't want to phrase it that way because it does sound like you're bribing them. It's like, you leave me positive, I'll give you a coupon. About that one, I would be curious how others feel about that. I personally have done sales in the past. I used to have a whole bunch of Bionicle parts before they became popular all of a sudden and they sold on their own. But for a while, I couldn't sell them. I would actually put the Bionicle stuff on sale just to draw people into my store. I did a, Land, Air, and Sea sale where I had all those kind of parts on sale, and I sold a lot of those to one person. That wasn't quite my intention, but it did clear out a lot of space because he bought a lot of stuff. And I've just done different sales like that. I don't do them very often. I don't think I've done one in at least the last 2 years before COVID because I just haven't felt the need to. I was really considering it this month just because it started out so slow, but things have picked up, so I probably won't. I usually save sales for when I feel like I need to draw people into my store, not necessarily to sell off parts, but more that draw of putting that sale out on the Bricklink forum and getting buyers to come in and purchase stuff and maybe become repeat buyers. If you're somebody who offers a sale on a regular basis, or if you have some kind of incentive to get people to come into your store, I do also do coupons for return buyers. So if somebody has been in my store before, I will send them a 10% coupon. And it's not something that I advertise, but it is something I do. There's things like that that you do, or you do sales on a regular basis. Put those in the comments below because I would really like those suggestions in case next month ends up being as slow as this month started out. Okay, so I have one more, and this one says, looking for tips on writing descriptions for used bricks. For example, 1x1 plates, etc., small parts that vary from okay to excellent condition. What has worked positively for you with little to no complaints? As a used seller, for a majority of my parts, I don't do like poor, good, excellent, or anything in between. I try to look for the best parts, the kind of parts that if I was buying used, I would want to receive, and the rest get thrown in the filler box and sold on Facebook Marketplace. There are exceptions to that. If they are rare parts or older parts that are hard to come by, then yes, I will put those in my store with a description of what is wrong with them, whether they're cracked, faded, have ink marks, whatever. I will put that in the comments. But like I said, a majority of my parts, I try to just put the best parts I have into my store. So I'm not looking at them going, oh, would somebody consider this an okay part? Or would they consider this a good part? Would they consider this excellent? You could spend all day just eyeballing one part if you're doing that. And that's not what I want to be doing. I just keep the best and put the rest in the filler box, knowing that I'm going to be able to resell those anyway, so it's not a big deal. The other exception to that are torsos and legs and heads, just because some of those are hard to come by, and my husband is really good at, he looks at every pair of legs and torso and head, basically under a magnifying glass or his little microscope, just because he wants to make sure that he's selling the best parts. But there's quite a few that might have like a crack on the arm and it's a rare torso, or it might have a scratch, or the imprint might be a little bit faded. Those he will put into inventory, but he will designate that these are for play, not for a collection. We still ended up with bags of minifigure parts that he didn't know what to do with, and we've been able to sell those on eBay. And those are the ones that are a lot more scratched, cracked, marked up, chewed on, whatever. And we've still been able to even resell those. For me, I just put in the best parts. I don't worry about the distinction. I was in a store looking for certain parts. They had new, and then they had like 3 or 4 listings for used. And it really got me to thinking. It's like, well, okay, this one says excellent, but this one says great or good. What is the difference between their excellent and their good? And then what's their difference between they're good and just okay? And I didn't know how they were distinguishing between those. And I finally just gave up and went to another store, because it's like, I don't know how they're determining what those grades are for those used parts. And I didn't want to click on, okay, I'm going to buy this because it does say it's in okay condition. I don't want to buy it and then get it and go, oh, that's crap. So I just kind of gave up and went to another store that had the same parts. So I think too, when you get to that point where you're putting that much effort into grading all your used parts, it can be a little bit off-putting to people who are looking for those parts. Because again, if they're like me, they don't know what you consider okay, good, and excellent. I understand the want and the need to do that, which is fine, but as a seller, I'm not going to do that. And as a buyer, I'm most likely going to go to another store that just says, hey, we have really good used parts. So that's just me. But I would be curious if there's other used sellers out there. If you do that, what is your determination? How do you figure out those different levels of used, and how do you keep all those separate? That's the other thing, because I'm assuming you don't want to have those excellent parts in with the okay parts and grab the wrong ones when you're pulling an order. That's another question, is how do you separate all those? I have a lot of questions. So maybe if you do that, put it in the comments and maybe I'll get a hold of you and we can do a little one-on-one and I can figure out how you're doing it. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you really liked it, hit that subscribe button. And once again, thank you to everyone who takes the time to subscribe, like, and comment on my videos. It means the world to me. It has really been helping me lately to continue to do this, because I'm kind of getting a little burnout on doing these videos, but then I get these really nice comments. I've had people order from my store with comments on the order saying, hey, I found your videos, thanks for all the advice, and that keeps me going. So thank you for all of that. So thank you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.